My psychosis, connected to a friend. Posted by Sweetie Pie Cutie. I suffer from auditory hallucinations. Within the first 24 hours of the onset of the disease, I realized and fully acknowledged that these voices are not happening in the real world. Since then, I'm always aware of the difference between the real world and the voices. I'm happy to explain more if it sounds fishy. Weeks ago, I checked into an inpatient facility. I immediately made friends with the sweetest person in the world. She was such a good listener, very genuine and kind. When I was falling asleep that first night in the facility, I heard her voice in my hallucination. She said a single word, calm. This was completely different than any other voices I hear, because they're never a recognizable voice. The voices up to this point were always violent. They argue, yell, graphically describe assault for at least an hour. But it wasn't alarming at all to hallucinate her voice. It was comforting. I stopped hallucinating after my inpatient stay. Got a lot of help from dosage adjustment. I didn't have any hallucinations again until last Sunday. It was a woman wailing with pain. I found out this week that my new friend killed herself on Sunday. Those screams could have been hers, but they were so faint. And I've honestly only ever heard her talk in her soft-spoken voice, because she was so mellow when we were together. The timing is too coincidental for me because my meds have been really intensely preventing hallucinations before and after Sunday. I'm very aware of my disease from a medical standpoint, but I get chills thinking about how my hallucinations have been connected to her. The screams of tormented souls came through my Bluetooth earbuds. To be honest, I really don't know what happened. Posted by an anonymous Redditor. This happened last night. It was almost midnight. I was up watching The Invisible Guardian on Netflix. It was late and everyone else in the house was asleep. So I was listening through my Galaxy Buds. I received a text. I switched apps in order to reply, and Netflix stopped playing while I was in the message app. As I was typing my reply, I heard a brief staticky sound. Then the screams began. They were loud, shrieking yells, blood-curdling screams. Whoever they were in pain. There was also a female voice, all raspy. They were talking, but I couldn't make out what she was saying. I don't think she was speaking English or Spanish. It was freaky, so I checked to see if maybe Netflix started playing, but it was still paused. I closed Netflix just to be sure, but the screams kept on screaming. So I closed all opened apps. I could still hear the scream. But then the female voice, clear as day, said, "Thank you," in a low, graspy voice. She was no longer off in the distance. She sounded like she was speaking right into my ear. I know I had earbuds in, but you know what I mean? I got chills all over my body. I'm not gonna lie, it was freaky. As soon as she finished saying thank you, there was no sound coming from my earbuds. They were still on and connected to my phone, and since I had closed all my opened apps, I was just staring at my home screen. I didn't even finish watching the movie. I just went to sleep. It was some really good sleep. I did have a strange dream. Strange as in funny, not scary. Other than that, I slept really well. I usually wake up around 6, 7, 8 a.m. 9 at the latest. But today, I woke up at 1 p.m. I honestly wasn't going to type this out, but for some reason I felt like sharing, so I did. Thanks for reading if y'all read it. Saved by an Angel. Posted by Hot Sun. This isn't my story, but my aunt's. She says she woke up around 1 a.m. to a light and looked at her bedroom door. In the doorway, there were a bunch of tiny lights making the silhouette of a person. The figure waved one of its hands in a "come here" gesture, and so she got up to go to them, and the figure turned to go down the hallway. She followed them all the way down the hall, where the figure turned around again to wave her forward through the living room to the sliding glass doors to find they were still unlocked and slightly open. The figure waved its arm at the door, showing her. Something grabbed her attention on the wall beside the door, and she saw that the outlet behind her TV had burnt up, black spreading along the wall. Looking back on this, she believes this is how the being got enough energy to do what it did. As soon as she reached the doors to shut them, the figure was gone. She definitely believes this was an angel who saved her life. She says the whole time all she felt was comfort. The next day, she found out her neighbor's house had been broken into. Anyway, I just always thought this was really neat and wanted to share. Edited to add some parts of the story I missed after asking about it again. I have no idea what that creature was. Posted by Throwaway Farmers. Edit. Update is on my post history. Long post, but please read. I seriously need help and am terrified out of my mind. So I'll start off by saying I've never believed in anything paranormal. I'm a pretty science-based dude. I always look for a logical explanation and still am for this encounter. So if anyone has any ideas, let me know. I don't have much time for leisure with work recently. Been having to accept some pretty awful shifts to get by with COVID times. So I've lost my ability to go on my evening walks, which are a method of stress relief for me. It had been a while since I had gone on one, so 3 nights ago, I decided to just go out for a late night walk. I put on my headband flashlight and decided to take a path I hadn't in ages. There's a small trail near the back of my neighborhood that goes about 4 miles deep into the woods. My plan was to walk about 1.5 miles in and take the parallel path to come back. I make it down to around 1.3 miles, according to my Fitbit, and I start getting that feeling I'm being watched. I turn off my headlight and sit still to listen. At this point, I'm more concerned there's a guy following me who's up to no good. I heard clear footsteps in the leaves off the trail, and they've been behind me for nearly 5 minutes. I stopped thinking it was an animal or another walker and became worried. Sitting there for probably 3 to 4 minutes, and I hear nothing at all. I turn back on my headlight and decide to start walking quickly back home. About 2 minutes later, I hear footsteps again. This time it sounds different. Sounds like 4 feet instead of 2 feet walking. And it's walking at the same increased speed I am. I turn around quickly with my headlight and my phone light and point it behind me. Silence. I get angry and yell out, "Leave me alone! I'm gonna call the cops, and if you come at me, I have a knife." Silence. I yell again to get the fuck out of here and start walking towards where I heard the walking, about 20 yards out. Hard to fully make out because the flashlight doesn't reach too far. I see what looks like a literal naked man running full speed on all 4s into the woods. Normally, I'd chalk that up to drugs, but my area does not have a drug problem, and there were some details that led me to believe it wasn't a person. For one, they were damn near hairless, completely bald, pale white skin, and the way it ran on 4s looked natural. Not like when you try to run on all 4s and look stupid. It looked like its bone structure was designed to walk on all 4s. There was no hunched look. Their back was flat and they were fast. Last thing that happened was straight out of a horror movie. I hadn't heard anything in a while on my way back, but kept turning around to be sure. With about 0.3 miles left to go until I was in the clear, I heard a mad dash through the leaves. I whip around and it stops on a dime. I see the edges of its head behind a tree and yell loudly to try and intimidate it. What I heard next, I'll never forget in my entire life. It cackled like a monkey, a noise I've literally only heard in nature documentaries. The tone was that of mockery, a predator having fun with me. I didn't stick around. I sprinted as fast as possible back home. I'd love to believe this was some prank or some rabid, bald, diseased coyote, but I got a pretty clear look at it. It wasn't. It had human feet and human hands, a human head, and a human buttocks, but nothing else about it was human. I called the cops after and told them a man was following me. I didn't want to say some creature because they'd think I'm crazy. They didn't find anything, but they did see quite a bit of activity in the leaves and dirt about 50 feet from where the trail was, leading far back into the woods before it got to a large stretch of grass where no footprints were seen. Please, someone tell me I'm crazy or that this was some elaborate prank or deformed man.